to revisit Dr. King's dream, it can still kindle a fire within every human being on earth to want to contribute to making this world just a little bit better place.
Yes,
I have a dream.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation.
Tell us, brother.
4 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes, sir.
This momentous decree came as a great big light of hope for millions of Negro slaves who've been seared in the flames of withering injustice. This came as a joyous daybreak.
Talk to us.
To end the long night in their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still badly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives in a lonely island of poverty, in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro still languishes in the corners of American society, finding himself in exile in his own land.
Tell us.
But we come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we come to our nation's capital to cash a check to which the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of our Constitution and Declaration of Independence. They were signing a promissory note to which all Americans were to feel heir. This note was a promise to all men. Yes, black men as well as white men will be engaged in the inalienable right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yes, sir.
But it is obvious today that America has defaulted on that promissory note, in so much as the color of our citizens are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check.
Help us, brother.
A check that has come back marked. Insufficient funds.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we refuse to believe today that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt.
Yes, sir.
We refuse to believe there are insufficient funds in the great false opportunity of this station. So we come here to cash this check. A check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice.
Yes, sir.
So we come now to this hollow spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. But this is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off, nor take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. But now is the time to make real the promises of democracy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now is the time to rise above the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to rise above the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all God's children.
Yes, sir.
In this process of gaining our rightful place, let us not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking out of cups of bitterness and hatred.
Yes, sir.
We shall always conduct our struggle on the highest planes of dignity and discipline.
Yes, sir.
All right.
We should never allow our protests to degenerate into physical violence.
Yes, sir.
For again and again, we must rise to the majestic height of meeting physical force with soul force. This marvelous new militancy that has engulfed our Negro community. Let it not have a distrust of all white people.
Speak to us, brother.
That's all right.
For many of my white brothers, it's evidence of their presence here today. They have come to realize that their destiny is higher than our destiny.
That's right.
They have come to realize that their freedom is crookedly bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must make the pledge we will always march ahead. We cannot turn back.
Yes, Lord.
And for those who are asking the trustees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro is a victim of police brutality. We cannot be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy from the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging into the motels of the highways and hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We cannot be satisfied as long as our children are robbed of their adulthood and stripped of their dignity with signs stating, "For whites only." We cannot be satisfied.
All right.
As long as the Negro of Mississippi cannot vote, and the Negro in New York feels he has nothing to vote for.
Yes, sir.
No, we cannot be satisfied. We will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like water.
Talk to us.
And righteousness is like the mighty stream. Now, I'm not unmindful that some of you come here today from great trials and tribulations. Some of you come fresh from narrow jail cells.
Yes, sir.
Speak, brothers.
Some of you come from areas by which your struggles have had you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality.
Yes, sir.
You have become the veterans of creative suffering. So, there's something I must say to you today,
Speak, brothers.
my
Speak.
friends. I still have a dream.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me go back. Sorry. I skipped the part. I so involved in his speech.
All right.
Yeah.
But I want you to say the whole speech, so we'll go back and catch it where I missed it.
Help
All right,
yourself.
all right.
Help
You're
yourself.
going to do Dr. King, you got to do Dr. King right.
Yeah.
So, continue to work that faith. That creative struggling is redemptive.
Yes, sir.
So go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to those slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that somehow
Yes, sir.
this will and can change. There's something I must say. There's something I must say to you today, my friends. Even though we are faced with great difficulties, I still have a dream.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
A dream that is deeply rooted in the American dream.
Yes.
I have a dream that one day our nation will rise up and live by the true meaning of its creed.
Yes, sir.
These truths we hold be self-evident that all men are created equal.
Yes, sir.
They are.
I still have a dream that one day,
Yes, sir. One day.
on the red hills of Georgia, former slaves and sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream today.
Speak, brothers.
I have a dream that down in Mississippi, a state that is sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will one day be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream today. I have a dream that my 4 little children
Yes, sir.
one day live in a nation where they would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that even down in Alabama,
Yes, sir.
with his vicious racists, with his governor having his lip tripping with the words of interposition and nullification, right there in the state of Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Yes, sir.
I have a dream that one day every valley will be exalted.
Yes, sir.
Every hill and mountain will be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and all of God's flesh will see it together.
Yes.
This is my hope.
Yeah.
This is the faith that I go back to the South with. Because with this faith,
Yes, Lord.
we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith,
Yeah.
We will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we'll be free one day.
Yes, sir.
This will be the day
This will be the day.
when all of God's children
Yeah, Lord.
will be able to sing with new meaning.
Yes, Lord.
My country, 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty of thee I see. Land where my father died with a pilgrim's pride on every mountainside. Let freedom reign.
Yes, Lord.
And if our nation's going to become great, then these things must become true. So let freedom reign. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom reign from mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom reign from the high allegations of Pennsylvania. Let freedom reign from the snow-capped rapids, Colorado. Let freedom reign from the Caucasus slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom reign from Stone Mountain in Georgia.
Yeah.
Let freedom reign from Lookout Mountain in Tennessee. Let freedom reign from every hill and molehill in Mississippi, from every mountainside. Let freedom reign. Once this happens, once we allow freedom to reign, once we let it reign, from every village and every hamlet, every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men, white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will all be able to join hands and sing together the word of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last, great God Almighty, we're free at last.